Hi, do you want to make your classroom materials more accessible for EAL learners? In this video, I'll share 10 simple practical ways to adapt your materials so students can understand and engage with your lessons more effectively. Let's get started. My name's Jane Maria Harding de Rosa, an English language teacher and trainer, a CELTA Delta tutor with a Masters in Teaching English to Young Learners. I've got a PGCE in primary education and over 30 years of classroom experience. I understand the unique challenges that teachers face, and I'm passionate about sharing practical, effective strategies to enhance your classroom practices. So what are the 10 ways to adapt materials for EAL learners? I'll be using some examples, but remember, these examples are exactly that. Examples. They're short excerpts to demonstrate what I mean and to help you. Of course, you'll have to find the most suitable method for you and your learners, and that depends on many factors, such as what age or level your learners are, what subject you're teaching, or the type of information that you're trying to convey. You may need to incorporate more than one method. So here we go. Number 1. Simplify vocabulary. Complex words can make reading difficult. We can simplify vocabulary by using easier synonyms, which the learners may already know. Here's an example. The flora and fauna in the Amazon rainforest exhibit incredible biodiversity. Compare that to, there is a wide variety of plants and animals in the Amazon rainforest. You can see that once you've introduced the simplified vocabulary and the learner has understood, you can go back to the more complex vocabulary and show them how they have the same or similar meanings. Number 2. Break down long sentences. Long, complicated sentences can overwhelm learners. Break them into smaller, simpler ones. Let's look at this example. Despite the inclement weather, the team pressed on, making slow progress. So using shorter sentences, we could have, the team kept going, the weather was bad, progress was slow. But a word of caution, if you do this a lot, it stops the flow of the text. It might be better to include some conjunctions, such as, the team kept going even though the weather was bad. They made slow progress. Number 3. Add visuals. Adding visuals helps explain concepts. This is especially true for EAL learners. So much more can be conveyed with a picture or image, a graph or a piece of realia. If we use the life cycle of a butterfly as an example, the text might be, a butterfly's life cycle includes 4 stages, egg, caterpillar, pupa, and adult butterfly. But adding a labelled diagram showing each stage with clear illustrations makes the whole sentence easier to understand. Number 4. Use bullet points instead of dense paragraphs. Texts that include lists and explanations are much easier to process when seen in a vertical format. Have a look at these examples. Plants need sunlight, water, carbon dioxide and nutrients from the soil to grow. They use sunlight to make the food through photosynthesis. It's much easier to read it if it's presented like this. Plants need sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, nutrients from the soil. They use sunlight to make food through photosynthesis. Here's an example where you could include more than one method, as visuals would provide even more support. Number 5. Include glossaries. New vocabulary can be defined right on the same page with a simple glossary. So an example could be, sedimentary rocks form when layers of material are gradually deposited and compressed over time. And the glossary at the side would say, deposited, material that's been laid down or left by natural processes. Compressed, pressed or squeezed together to reduce size or volume. Notice how the words in the glossary haven't been changed. There's no addition of a capital letter. Capital letters change the shape of a word, and we want to make it as easy as possible for EAL learners to recognise these words they need the definitions for. Number 6. Use repetition. Repetition reinforces memory and improves retention of new vocabulary. So by repeating the key vocabulary and concepts, students should find it easier to remember them. Here's an example about the water cycle. Water moves between the ocean, atmosphere and land in a cycle involving evaporation, condensation and precipitation. Compare that to, in the water cycle, water moves between the ocean, air and land. Water evaporates into the air, condenses into clouds and then falls as rain. Can you see how many times the word water is repeated? This helps reinforce the subject of the sentence. Number 7. Reduce abstract language. Compare these two sentences taken from a history lesson. An abstract version would be, the consequences of the war had a profound impact on the socio-economic structure. Whereas an adapted version, using concrete language, the war changed how people lived and worked, affecting jobs, money, and how communities were organised. The vocabulary used in the second example is much more tangible and accessible to EAL learners. Number 8. Highlight key vocabulary. This is probably an obvious one, but it's also one that is overlooked and forgotten in the editing process. Draw attention to key vocabulary by bolding or underlining important words. Look at the difference it makes when the key words are written in bold. The digestive system includes the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. Number 9. Chunk information. Breaking content into smaller sections with subheadings makes it much easier to process. Have a look at this example. The respiratory system includes the lungs, trachea and diaphragm. The lungs take in oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. The diaphragm helps air move in and out of the lungs. Whereas an adapted version, you'd see the respiratory system. Lungs take in oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. Trachea connects the mouth to the lungs. Diaphragm helps air move in and out of the lungs. Obviously, an image or a diagram would also support this even more. And finally, number 10. Relate the content to prior knowledge. Activating what the students already know and helping them connect new ideas and learning to their familiar concepts is essential. A perfect example would be photosynthesis is how plants make food using light. You can connect it by saying, just like people eat food to get energy, plants use sunlight to make food. Try to use analogies and comparisons which are relevant to the learner's experiences. Adapting materials doesn't have to be difficult. Use these 10 strategies to make your lessons more accessible for EAL learners. Share in the comments below which method you've used and which you think you need to use more of. You can also let me know what areas you'd like to see included in these videos. If you'd like a handout to accompany this video, then head to my website www.enrichingelt.com. And as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell for more EAL. Bye!